Hi, this is John Silve, and we're on Art and Design with Maureen Bergquist. Maureen, I'm glad you're on the show today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Maureen, uh, we're here to talk about your public art and your career in public art. But before we do that, I want to do a quick commercial break for your other life or simultaneous life with the farm and what you're doing with animals up on the farm.
Yeah, we have 28 animals that are all rescues and 40 chickens, a little more than 40 chickens, and so we keep ourselves quite busy.
Well, and it's a pretty good sized space too, right?
Yeah, we have about 24 acres, and we have 16 sheep and 3 goats and 2 alpacas and a cow and a couple horses and cats and a dog.
And how do these animals end up at your farm?
Well, for a long time, people would when we first started, people we lived in the UP, and someone would come by and say, "If you don't take these animals, they're gonna not be living anymore." And we, of course, couldn't let that happen. So we got a few llamas that way. We had about 5 llamas at one time, and sheep. If people have difficulties on their farms, sometimes they call us and say, we're losing our farm. Can we bring some animals over? And we've always said yes. At this point, as I'm aging, we are now just a retirement farm for the animals that we have. So we are not taking any new ones on.
It's a lot of work.
It is a little bit of work. I got up early this morning to do these chores.
Well, and I want to mention too that the farm is actually for rescue animals, but it's also your studio and has been for a number of years, right?
Yes, we've been in the Traverse City area for about 15 years now. So my studio is here as well. And I'm trying to, as we speak, do a little sculpture garden out front with some of my stone sculptures and some of my metal sculptures. So I'm always out there messing around. It's great fun.
And a beautiful place to be.
Well, thank you. We like it.
I like visiting as well. So, Maureen, how did you get started in public art?
Well, I was a stone sculptor for almost 40 years, and the stone was so heavy. I did a couple pieces that were public. I have some pieces in flint that are 10-foot tall limestones that are probably about 4,000 pounds a piece. And I decided that I love doing public art. I think it's important to have art where people can see it and people can touch it, but that was not easy for me to do. So I started working in steel. And once I started working in steel, entering shows became more easy, acceptable. I can drive them over, we can load them in. It's all great. And I just think that art where people can see it is so important.
What are the highlights for public art for you?
I love going and seeing new things, walking around a piece, being able to touch it, which you cannot do in a museum. It's always wonderful to go up and see what the material is, how an artist has done a piece, how's it been welded, how's it been attached to each other. Just become intimate with a piece of sculpture is fantastic. A lot of people you never have that opportunity and wouldn't have that opportunity if we did not have public art.
I like your system. Stone's heavy, so you go to steel. Oh yeah, so much lighter. And then is next watercolor because of just because it's light.
Well,
not because it's not hard. It's hard.
John, we are getting a little older. I can't.
Yes.
I see a little gray in your beard.
Stop it right now. Well, there's challenges too. I mean, obviously you live in a beautiful location, but it's not near as much industry as, say, downstate, something like that. So it faces its challenges too, as far as some of the processes that you do. Can you talk about some of the challenges you have by living on a beautiful farm up in Traverse City?
Oh, it's hard. It's really hard to enjoy this life. I think that the biggest challenge for me is that I am a little isolated. I have not always lived in this area, and I have not really been able to connect with a lot of artists in this area, mostly probably my fault because I do have a job, I do have a farm, and I am a sculptor. So I keep myself quite busy. But the communication between artists is so important to grow. And I think that's been my most difficult aspect of living here. When I lived in Lansing for many years and was part of a really big artist community, and it's hard to live without it. And so I'm trying at this point to join in some more.
Well, I think you do a fine job. In fact, another commercial break. You're going to be doing this same talk this coming Thursday, right? For part of the Harbor Island Sculpture Park. Yeah. So
yes, we are.
Well, I'm looking forward to that, and it's not your most recent install, but it is a recent install that you have on Harbor Island in downtown Grand Haven, on an island in the middle of the Grand River. I'm really excited about you coming to talk at Lodet District Library live in person in front of a live audience.
Oh man, that's going to be hard.
Oh no, it's not. You're perfect. So, and I am so looking forward to it. And it's not the only piece you've done, but could you give us a tour for people that are interested in finding your pieces? And there's a lot of them, but we have time. So I want you to give us a little walking tour of where people can find Maureen's sculptures.
Well, and right now in Lansing, Michigan, at Lansing Art Path, there's a new piece in there just by the Grand River. In Wicker Park in Chicago, there's a piece on West North Avenue. Greenwood, Indiana, Angola, Indiana, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Those are a few of the places that I'm in right now. Michigan City, Indiana has a piece. And what am I forgetting? Well, they're all over. Plus, there are some permanent collections.
So, Maureen, can you give us a tour of the permanent sculptures located throughout the nation?
Well, there is a permanent piece in California, but I can't tell you where it was. It was purchased by a company in Chicago, and they moved it across the country and put it over there, which was quite fun.
What's the company?
Lansing, Michigan. That was a while back. I cannot tell you.
This is the challenge of me asking you questions that you weren't prepared for. So
I know.
So let's start with that one though. How did that all come about when you were in Chicago?
Chicago Sculpture Exhibit is a yearly exhibit that's juried, and I've been lucky enough to get into it for quite a few years. And one of the pieces, about 5 years ago, one of the companies loved it and bought it and transported it across the country. I also have 3 pieces in Illinois, but I can't remember the city. They just bought them a couple years ago. By Chicago. So I should probably have my resume. I had it with me right now.
I'm sure that's them calling you right now, Maureen, to remind you.
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
I mean, you're so popular.
I'm sorry, I did not take off my phone. Usually it only rings when I'm taking a nap.
Exactly. Doing an interview.
I think Fran will take care of that for me.
So, before we go on to some of the other permanent ones, you can talk about the Chicago Sculpture Project. They've been doing it for a number of years. Let's just go through that and how you applied and how you got in. Give your experience with that.
Well, a lot of these, all of my shows that I get in the year, you are juried in. So you can find online outdoor sculpture shows that are accepting proposals or pieces. And you send them photos, send them your resume, and away they go. You're juried in or out. Then you deliver the piece. They give you a stipend, usually $1,000 to $3,000 per year to keep your work. And then you just take it. They usually install it, and then you pick it up next year and bring it home and try again.
But on a number of occasions with the Chicago exhibit, like you mentioned, the piece is purchased, which is a great outcome for you with the work.
Oh yes. You know, it's great to have someone really enjoy your pieces, and to have them purchased in one of these shows is fantastic. But that, you know, that's what public art is. It gets people around that haven't seen work before. It's an experience. My work is pretty intimate, so you have to kind of get close to it. It's not, you know, 20 feet tall. It's 8 to 10 or 12 feet tall. So you have to really experience it, and that is always a joy when someone experiences it and says, I want that in my house, or in front of my building, which is fantastic.
Well, and I want to continue with this too about where your other permanent pieces are and some of the experiences you've had in installing those. So we've got the Chicago show and pieces that have gone out to become permanent there. Where else can we find some of the permanent pieces?
Jeffersonville, Indiana, just by Louisville, Kentucky. I believe they have 3 that they've purchased of mine. In Illinois, it's so, gosh, I wish I had my paperwork. I cannot remember the name of the city. They just purchased 3 last year, which was delightful. They didn't know they were all my work, and they were going through Chicago Sculpture Initiative, and they chose 3 of my pieces at once. So that was a joy. And Mass Transit's in Flint. Lansing, Michigan has one down by the river. And I'm continuing to keep working on getting more out there.
Well, that's the main thing. And let's talk about your process. I mean, you have your studio up on the farm. How does something start as far as creating one of your sculptures?
Well, I always have the design ready to go. And work on those a little bit. My designs are pretty loose so that I can continue changing them as I go. They're more fluid to me than they are strict. You know, when you're a stone sculptor, I would do a design and I would carve it away. So that would be really fluid. And I'm trying to do the same thing with my metal, make it so that it's not so strict in what I do. So I do the design, and then I go, and I don't have metal here at the farm. I go and get the metal, and I actually use a friend's place to bend it and cut it. And then he and I actually weld it together. We do our work together. And then bring it home and put it in my front yard for a while and live with it. It's so fantastic.
What would you say the theme is for most of your art, if there is a theme?
There is a theme to most of my art. A lot of my work is steel and stainless, or steel and aluminum. And I really believe that those materials are so close to each other, but look so different, that it represents social issues, race issues. I have no idea why we have so many problems with racial tension, diversity. Life should be accepting of everyone, and embracing our differences and enjoying each other and learning from each other. So my work deals a lot with that. I like to deal with a little bit of spiritual growth in my work. Maybe one of the last pieces I did was called Chakras. So there's 7 points on it. It's a 10-foot tall piece. It's just about the energy that flows through each of us. And I think that really art should elevate people. I think that art should make you feel better, or make you feel something or learn something that you didn't know before.
Have you had any recent conversations that you had an audience in front of your sculpture that you've been able to get in depth with them about what the piece represents and experience their reaction to it?
I have not really, when I'm installing these pieces, I install and go. So it's not really been that I've enjoyed listening to folks. There's been a couple times where people have said, well, I like that other one better, and that's all good. I always enjoy it when people don't know that you're the artist and are really truthful about what's going on. So, I would love to hear more if people really understand what I'm trying to say with my work. I should probably just sit by one someday and just listen.
That's a good way to do it because, like you said, especially when they don't know it's you, they're more honest probably about their experience.
Yeah, I believe that's true. Yeah.
So we're still in the process. You work from the farm. You work also at the steel fabricating studio, and you put it back out. You put it on the farm. You enjoy it for a while. Do you find that the work evolves when you live with it after it's completed?
Yes. I believe that a lot of my work is Zen. And when I first started working with steel, I think my work was much simpler. That there were two materials put together in a certain way. They were figurative to me. At this point now, they're getting a little more complex, and I'm really enjoying the process of adding more to them and learning more about the methods of steel. When you're a stone sculptor for 40 years, learning a new material is always great fun. And so adding to it and designing more, I really like.
Well, and I'm going to change gears, but stay on the same topic. The piece that you recently installed in Harbor Island Sculpture Park in Grand Haven, it reflects what you were just alluding to about the two different types of metal, the aluminum and the steel mixed together. Can you talk about that piece specifically, the name, how the process came about, and what your thoughts were with that piece?
Well, that piece is called The Heart of the Matter, and the interior piece of it is stainless steel, and it's round. And then there is steel floating around it, I would say, encompassing it, being the body of the piece, I would guess. And honestly, it is that there's so much inside us that we can share. And the outsides, there's no ugly outsides. There's only ugly insides. And what we need to do is look within each of us and figure out what's really important to us and share that beauty with everyone else. We're not here to be stupid. We're here to share. We're here to grow. We're here to embrace everybody's differences and learn. And that piece really is about embracing your heart and spreading it out, I believe.
When did that first come into your mind as far as the concept that you wanted to explore?
A dear friend of mine, passed away about 15 years ago. And the piece that I did for him was limestone and steel. And it was one of the first ones I did. And he was African-American, one of my dearest people on this planet. And I wanted the differences to be so cohesive with that piece that you don't notice that it's two different items put together. You just notice that it's a whole, that, he was connected to everyone. He was delightful and everyone loved him. And that's what this work is that, we may have differences that we can overcome. And I think that I've been working with that for years because I just don't understand the confrontation over something that you cannot change. A person cannot change how they were born on this planet. They can change how they see things, but they can't change who they came here as. And they shouldn't be judged by it, in my opinion. So that's one of the things that I really try to work through in my sculpture. In a quiet, serene way, actually, in a Zen kind of way, so that it's not in your face, so that people can kind of ease into the concept, I think.
Well, and this is I'm taking off from your concept here, but it's a concept that has been with us throughout history, and it's a timely topic right now, obviously, because of recent events. Have you shared this with people before that you've been able to delve into it further and tag it right into some of the things that are going on in our society today and have a deep dive with it?
Well, hopefully I'm going to do that on Thursday. I talk to people in smaller groups, and when people ask me about my work, I generally say, well, I'd like, you to tell me what you feel about it. I'd like people to have their own opinions. But yeah, I have talked to people about my idea that there should be acceptance on this planet. There's so much good that we could share. And I do get to talk to people about it, some, not as much as I probably would like to, honestly. I'm not really a public speaker, so I've avoided that a little bit.
Well, I'm glad I have you this morning and putting you the screws to you to get you to talk more about it. This is perfect. When you squirm, people learn. That's what we say here. So.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it's true. I really do. Well, energy is energy. I mean, we've got so much difference. The way that we're treating the planet, the way that we treat animals, the way we treat each other. Energy is energy. We've got to learn how to embrace it and evolve it.
Do you want to explore your Zen interest? Share some
I just
of that?
did.
Well, I know. Where did you become interested in Eastern religion?
I think I've always had the belief that trees are important, the planet is important, animals are important. I think that honestly, they have as much right and energy to be respected and worked with and loved as a person. I mean, I can't imagine that there's anything different about us. I mean, a tree that has lived for 300 years has got energy and it can share it. A lot of the times I tell people that when I'm working, I'm listening to the wind. The environment around us will teach us a lot if we just listen. So my Zen idea is that everything matters. Everything can teach us. The plants that we eat, everything that we do, it's all important, and we need to really protect it, enjoy it, embrace it, and share it.
And live your best life.
And live your best life. Exactly.
Well, Maureen, I'm going to
exactly. I agree.
On you. I appreciate that you're being candid. I know this isn't easy for you to get into this, and so that's why I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to talk today about this. Now, I want to take some time to talk about future endeavors. What do you have lined up for the rest of the year here as far as public art?
Well, I'm trying to get in some more shows. I've got a brand new piece that is called Chakras that I really enjoy. It's a 10-foot tall piece. It's fantastic. I just want to get out there and show people some new stuff. I'm really loving the fact that people are understanding and seeing now that my work is my work, which, that is amazing when people can look at a piece and say, oh, that's a Maureen Gray piece. I just want to keep evolving and becoming better at what I do and sharing my ideals in a quiet way.
Well, I wouldn't call it quiet when they buy 3 of your pieces because they look like something that they want to put into their community. And I think you've accomplished your goal. You have Maureen pieces that are identifiable and people really enjoy them and want to make it a part of their downtown landscape. So I think you've achieved your goal, and I'm glad you're talking this way too, because that's a big part of it is you're sharing who you are and what your beliefs are in a quiet way. And I'm forcing you right now to talk about it. And I love that so much. Mainly because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
That's why. And I know
Well,
this
thank
is
you.
big
Thank
for you to share this too.
you.
So this is not easy because you just want to do your thing, but people are always asking about it, and people are asking about your piece, and I'm gonna again bring it back to your recent install on Harbor Island Sculpture Park, and your piece
Right.
is located where a power plant was, which is appropriate to this conversation and what you just described in your influences and your meaning. And so this power plant was on this island for 100 years. They took it down. They were trying to figure out what to do with this island in the middle of the river, in the middle of a tourist community. What better idea than a sculpture park, and what better location for your piece, which is the heart of the matter, located right where that power plant stood. So I can't think of a better location for your piece and the significance of the piece and the significance of what you feel about public art. I'm really happy that it's there. And I know we're going to be talking about this live. So this is our dry run. Anything else you
Yeah.
want to mention before we do this all again on Thursday?
Well, I'm thinking that that's probably a permanent piece as well, that I should have mentioned, that the piece in Grand Haven is going to stay. I'm not planning on it coming home. So, you know, I'm grateful to you for for pushing to get another place for public art that's can be walkable and people can enjoy. And it's in a once not beautiful place, it's going to be a beautiful place. That's fantastic. I think everyone should experience public art or any art. I go to a museum, go to a gallery, just enjoy and learn something new. That's the most important part of the whole thing, is to learn something.
All right,
And
Maureen.
I'm really grateful that this is what I do.
Well, Maureen, for people that want to find out more about you and about your art and where they can see your art, do you have some links that you want to share right now that people can find out more?
Well, I'm pretty derelict on that part. You're just going to have to go to Maureen Bergquist Gray on Facebook to see some of my work. I don't have a website at this point. You can Google me and find out where I am. I do come up when you Google me. So that's that.
Nothing wrong with that. Nope. Hey, that's the thing. And Facebook is just like a website anyway. So I agree 100%. And it does update you on your travels and your installs, because I keep track of you. I know these things. And I think it's a perfect place to start to find out more about where they can find your artwork in the future. And again, I'm putting one last plug. You're going to be talking live in Grand Haven at the Lodit District Library this Thursday to share all these ideas about your public art and also about the piece that you installed in Harbor Island Sculpture Park. So Maureen, thanks for coming on the show today. I appreciate it.